Okay, we're going to get started with a quick demonstration of Adobe XD. When you open the app, it should look like this. And before I get started, I just want to let you know a couple of things about XD. Well, this isn't a traditional game prototyping tool. It is a common tool and a newer tool for doing things like prototyping a user interface. But I think for our purposes, if you're doing something like prototyping a graphic adventure game, this might be a quick and easy way for you to outline some of the experience, and there are a variety of tutorials online for doing more complex things like actually demonstrating animation and all this sort of stuff. Right now my assumption is that I'm just going to give you a really quick intro so that you have a resource and so that you have what I think are the essentials for this situation. So when you start with XD, the short version is that it's expecting you to design for a particular interface. So you've got an iPhone experience, an iPad experience, a web experience, or you can do your custom size. We're just going to assume that you're creating a simple iPhone game and you're going to produce it for iPhone 10 and 11 Pro. So we'll just go ahead and click this one. It's a quick double click and it'll show you the XD screen. The thing to know here is if you look at the very top of the screen, you're going to see design and prototypes. So think of these as the two phases of your designing. So the first thing is designing, literally deciding where you're going to put elements on this screen. You can see the canvas here, this white section is explicitly where you're going to be creating your interface or your game screens. And then when you're ready to start creating interactivity, you're going to use the prototyping screen. So on the design side, you can see you've got a standard select like you would in any other tool. And then you have some shapes, your rectangle, your circle, and your polygon, your polygonal surfaces. And then you also have a line tool, which will let you do curves. We're not going to worry too much about the pen tool, as shown here, but we are going to add some text, and I'll explain artboards in a second. So let's say that you are mocking up your game experience and you just want to start with, let's just say, some sort of basic start screen. So you imagine it's going to look something like this, and in here later you're going to put some content, but for now you just have a basic start screen, and then it would probably make sense to give us a little start button, so you can just click down here and type start, and it will automatically give you information about that start button. If I go back to the select tool, I can go ahead and move that. You can see these lines appearing. They're helping you with alignment so that you can actually align it, say, to the edge of this square or to the center. I'm going to put it in the center, kind of a reasonable place, right about here. And then draw your attention to the right-hand side. So the right-hand side is a set of attributes describing whatever you have selected. So if I select the square, the attributes are going to change. If you've ever used an Adobe product or any of the other design products in the world, they pretty much all work this way. Maya does this, a variety do. So select the object and then you will be able to change its attributes. So for example, if you don't like the Helvetica font, I don't know why you wouldn't, but hey, maybe you don't, and you wanted to try a different one, you could. And so if I threw in this font, you can see it immediately change. You can change the alignment, all the kind of basics. You can make it look nicer or different with a border. We're gonna keep all that stuff for the pretty basic right now because I just want you to get the core concept, but you can see here there are a lot of options. And so now you've got a start screen with an image. We're not gonna have the image yet, we just know there's gonna be an image eventually. And of course the next thing is you'd like to create some kind of interactivity. So the way that this kind of tool works is it's designed around this metaphor of artboards. So you're gonna move from one artboard to the next artboard for a particular experience. So if you look here, when you create a new artboard, at the very bottom, after your tool set, you'll see this stack, and you'll see assets, you'll see layers, and you'll see plugins. And then if you go over here, you've got your artboard. So you just click on artboard once, and then it'll ask you on the right-hand side, because we chose specific dimensions, what size artboard you want. This is just default. We were designing an iPhone X, iPhone 10, so we'll just double click that, single click on some computers, and you will get another artboard. And let's say when we start the game, we want it to be full screen, and we know the player's maybe gonna have to click on a couple of bubbles. So we'll put a bubble here, and we'll, you can use copy and paste if you want the same dimensions. So in PC, it's Control-C on a Mac, it's Command C, so we Command C and then Command V as in Victor, and you'll make a copy of that. If you have your select tool on, you can drag, and now you've got 2, Control C, Control V, boop, and we'll just do 5 of these guys. So what you're doing is you're kind of showing them what the game might feel like. And at this point, you want to go from the start button to the initial game phase. So this is when you're going to switch over to prototype, and then when you're in prototype, you'll see that whatever element you've selected can be clickable. Once you click on it, you can just make it click and go to another artboard by clicking and dragging the arrow. So we're going to say that when we click start, it goes here. Now, let's imagine that we want a different experience or a different result each time they click on one of these circles. And we still haven't added any art, but we're just basic understanding. So we could click and drag this to a new artboard, but there is no artboard, so we should design the artboard first. And while we're at it, we should make sure that the design makes it easy for us to understand the difference between these circles. So you might want to change the fill on the first circle, and let's say the first one's a red one, and then the next one, we'll just do RGB, so this one will be blue, just in there somewhere. Good. Oops. Nice if I actually selected a blue hue. There we go. Let's make it a little lighter. Great. Now we do this one, RG. No, I did RBG, so we'll do Ruth Bader Ginsburg instead of. So we'll do green. Now we have a red, a blue, and a green. We've got a white one, and let's just throw in another color for good measure. Let's go with like purple or fuchsia. Cool. All right, so maybe this is part of my design. I know I'm gonna need a couple more artboards, so I'm just gonna click the artboard, 1, 2, 3. And then what's really nice is you can pan in and out to see your world. And I hit it 3 times but didn't actually select the kind, so I'm gonna do this, and now I've got another artboard. I could copy and paste that, same thing, Command C, Command V, Command C, Command V. So I'm not gonna do the whole thing here, but you can see that I've got 3 new artboards. And I'm gonna make the circles connect to these artboards. So I click on them and something happens. So if we go back to we can go to prototype mode to make this first one, which is the red one, click here, and now we know that's going there. We go back and design, and maybe part of my original game design that I had spec'd was that I wanted to show them a big red ball or circle or whatever. So we do that, and then for blue, we can do the same. I can even copy and paste, so I can drag from one to the other. So now I've got that one, change it to blue. We've got that, and then maybe if they click on the white one, we tell them they win. And so we can just add some text and say, you win. Now this is a comically simple game, but what I'm trying to do is just show you how this works. So now I'm changing the font size from 20 to 200, maybe a bit big for our you win, but I think we might be able to fit it if we do a line break. Just to keep things simple, I am just going to change that to 100, half the size. Should fit right in there, and you win. And then maybe we show them some graphic that is split here and here. So again, make sure that you do your prototype to link them. So this one's going to go here, and you can, oops, that one's going to go there, and then the white one is going to go here. So now, if you want to see what you've designed, it's fairly easy. You have a play button in the upper right-hand corner. Over here, you've got device preview. You can invite other people to preview it. So you go to desktop. I'm previewing the current one that I'm on. But if I click here, because it's just going to default to whichever one selected, we'll start at the very beginning. We hit play. Now we've got a start. We've got a couple of colors that are clickable. Green and fuchsia are not, but white, blue, and red are. So if we click on red, look at that, I'm at the red. I'm going to close it, play it again. This time I'm on blue, and I go to blue, woohoo. And of course, if we hit play here, hit start, and hit on the white one, congratulations, you win. So what I'm trying to do here is just show you some of the really basics. I'm just going to conclude with one other thing that students will typically want at this point, which is adding their own art. And I've got another sort of lecture for you on art itself. But ultimately, what I'd like you to see is that if you have PNGs that you've made or image files you've made or you've found, there are a variety of repositories on the web, all you're going to do is simply import your images. So you can literally just go to import and do them this way, or you can click and drag images from a file. So if you've got them on your desktop, you can click and drag them into the scene and then put them where you want in the artboard. So I went to Kenny Sprites and grabbed some cool city tiles. So let's say that I wanted that screen. I'll zoom in a little for you so you can see. I'm zooming with command and mouse scroll, mouse wheel, but you can see I've got this little tileable. It's a sort of isometric view, great little sprite. And if I copy and paste it, I can do 2 of them like that. It's a really rough edit. And if I imported a different shape, say something like this, this one will work well. And I could, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you get the idea. And I copy and paste it a few times. I've got this sort of pseudo 3D look. And I can keep layering these because the Z order, the layer order works out because of the order I've placed them. But you get the general idea. So I've got this little street, and now when I play it, I've got some graphics from my experience, and it's a really simple tool for doing sort of clickable prototypes. I hope you found that helpful. Remember, this is one of many tools available to you. XD is free for students through the university license, so you shouldn't have any problems getting a copy of it. It's pretty lightweight, you don't need a very strong computer to run it, and it's a really convenient tool. If you do some more tutorials online or look up some other sources, you'll find ways to share it, you'll find ways to do fancier things. But keep in mind, this is a prototyping tool. You would never go from XD to production. You'd never actually release a game in XD, but it's a really fast way to prototype an experience. I hope you found that helpful.